Welcome back. You're watching Daytime Update with me, Veronica Mahwadi. Always great to be in your company. To this now, the South African Teachers Union has expressed concerns over the impact of rising violence in South African schools. The union says teachers are leaving the profession as many feel that their lives are at risk and there's no resources for them should they be injured on duty. For a discussion on what the union thinks needs to be done, I'm joined now by SADTU spokesperson Nomusa Cembi. Thank you so much for your time. It's a growing issue, and often we know schools that make the headlines in regards to some of the pupils that are attacking teachers, but on the ground, perhaps give us a look in terms of numbers and maybe those stories that don't make the headlines on how prevalent this violence is against teachers in schools.
Good afternoon, Veronica, and good afternoon to your viewers. Yes, indeed. A lot of teachers are leaving the profession. Recently, the Western Cape Department of Education announced that 93 teachers left the profession this year in the province. And we are aware that the numbers are quite high. It's not only happening in the Western Cape, it's happening right across the country. And there are many reasons for this. Teachers feel they are overwhelmed with administrative work. They are working under unfavorable conditions where they are teaching overcrowded classrooms, and they are working in conditions where they are receiving very little support in terms of their mental and psychological well-being in the face of violence meted out against them by the learners that they teach. So we are very much concerned about this. And at our last National Executive Committee meeting of the union, the Executive Committee decided that we should approach the Department of Labour, the Minister of Labour, to look at the issue of expanding the coverage of the Compensation for Occupational Injuries and Diseases Act to cover educators who are injured or harmed as a result of violence by learners.
And Nomusa, take us into the classroom daily, what it looks like. We know that there have been growing issues of gangsterism within schools, but what are some of the incidents that have been flagged by SADTU?
Yes, there's violence manifests in many forms. It is physically, where there are actual fist fights or physical fights, or instances where even learners producing guns or knives attacking teachers. And in other instances, like the one in the Western Cape, a learner producing a toy gun, intimidating a teacher. Even a toy gun has untold damage to the psychological being of a teacher. So, and there's also instances of bullying, instances of learners swearing at teachers, using unkind words to teachers. That is a form of violence against teachers. And also teacher properties like vehicles belonging to teachers being vandalized by learners. It's a form of violence against teachers. It affects teachers physically as well as psychologically for their properties to be damaged by learners. It's a situation that really is affecting our teachers.
And I guess the next question, as you've mentioned then, in regards to the labour laws, is what would happen next? Do we believe that teachers are being adequately protected and perhaps even supported in regards to the current laws as it stands when they are faced with this type of abuses and violence?
Yes, there are policies in place to safeguard it for security in schools, but we feel that they are not enough to really put an end to this violence. That's why we are saying we are going to be approaching the Minister of Labour to look at COIDA and to see how it can cover teachers, because currently COIDA does not recognize the violence by a learner as an occupational harm or a harm that can be compensated for. So we are saying we feel that the law should cover that. yes, at the moment, teachers can sue the department if they are harmed or injured by a learner. But you find that it takes time, and it's not it's an expensive exercise for a teacher to be going to sue the department. You know, the department has got all the resources and the best legal minds, and the teacher cannot afford to procure legal minds that can assist that teacher to fight the department.
Yeah.
So we believe that the law should cover them so that they do not engage in such expensive exercises that at the end of the day do not benefit them. So the law should come to play to ensure that it is easier for teachers to be compensated when they find themselves in situations that they are harmed by the learners that they teach.
And I think what would obviously then be the next question is, what would this compensation look like? And maybe critics may also argue that, you know, compensation is not necessarily the way to go, and that maybe we need to start addressing where the violence and the abuses is stemming from. I mean, what would your response be to that?
It can be in many forms because it would depend on the severity of the harm. In case where a teacher cannot, you know, is so perhaps psychologically affected that he or she can no longer be able to stand in front of a class, therefore will not be in a position to continue with his or her career.
I think so.
Then that person needs to be fairly compensated because that person can no longer be able to do the work that they are supposed to do. And so, and also besides that, also
Right.
to be looked at in terms of offering psychological and psychosocial services. Yes, they are there at the present moment, but we feel they are not enough, or they are not present at the schools, at the sites where teachers are teaching. The teacher has got to go to a district office or go to some office in order to access that psychosocial help. Would like to see those services being brought closer to where teachers are in the workplaces where they are, instead of them having to pay money to go to access those provisions that are provided by the department. Sometimes it takes time, and you find teachers they're having to take money from their pockets to access those services.
All right. I think definitely something, especially now over the festive period before we return and back to school in January, this is something that should definitely be looked at. SADTU spokesperson there, Nomusa Cembi, thank you for your time.